Hey there for Dragonfly and me friends. Welcome to another episode of Jean in the Kitchen. I know it's been a minute, but I've been incredibly busy with preparing for my wedding reception, which took place on July 8th, and which is also why I haven't been blogging that much. But generally in the summer, I am so busy in the garden and doing things in the kitchen and getting things situated for canning and whatnot. I have just been swamped. So I blog a little less in the summer than I do in the fall and the winter and early spring. But today I am going to make my very, very popular and delicious pesto recipe. And I know a lot of recipes that you may find online include pine nuts. Well, pine nuts don't really add any flavor other than maybe a little bit of a what I consider like a buttery flavor. But my pesto minus the pine nuts is just as delicious as with. And pine nuts, quite frankly, are pretty costly and, in my opinion, are an unnecessary ingredient in pesto. I am, if this is your first time here, I'm Jean Roman. You are visiting for Dragonflies and Me at my YouTube channel, or you may be watching this at my blog for dragonfliesandme.com. Either way, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I would love for you to smash the like button, hit that smash the subscribe button so that you don't miss a beat. I do daily inspiration posts on Facebook. I do live reels and live on both Facebook and Instagram. And you'll always see a lot of incredible content, whether it's gardening, cooking, and even organization. So, and actually my last blog was on how to organize and plan your own outdoor wedding reception. So I used all my own wedding pictures. So if you haven't seen that and you'd like to, please feel free to check it out at Facebook, Instagram, and of course here at my blog and at my YouTube channel right here. So this is a really quick and simple recipe, but there's a few techniques that I'd like to show you and how to process and prepare your basil leaves. First and foremost, when you are having your garlic, or I'm sorry, your oregano, oh my goodness, friends, so sorry, your basil. This is where you're going to pick a stem, right? Okay. And then sometimes you may be having smaller ones, but the key to having really good basil is making sure you harvest the leaves properly. And I've already harvested or cleaned and harvested several basil stems, but I wanted to show you also 3 different types of basils, which I'm going to get into. But by the time you're done plucking all of your basil leaves off, this is what your stem should look like. And I'm going to have photographs of these on the blog. There's also some leaves that you should avoid, and I'm going to have a better close-up picture when you go over to my blog. But just some of the types of leaves you definitely want to avoid are any insect bitten leaves, like really bad ones. 1 or 2 little holes is not that big a deal, but I'm going to kind of come up to the camera so I can kind of get a little closer. But again, I'm going to have this really close up in my blog. But as you can see, this leaf right here, it's been chewed. It's got some black spots, got a bunch of little holes. You don't want to use that leaf because just in case, usually when insects eat, they also poop along the way. So you don't want to do that. Here's also just some black spots. And again, really an eaten leaf. So you don't want to use that one. Another is like, this is the kind of like the tip of the basil. And you can see it's got black spots on it. And that's normal. I mean, it is what it is. When you are gardening, you are dealing with insects and whatnot. But again, there's another chewed up one. So when you're harvesting your leaves, you really want to be careful with that. I also wanted to get up close here to show you how to properly harvest. And then I'm going to get into the recipe and show you the different types of basil. So as you can see here, this is a very nice bunch of basil. So you see the stem here, and obviously these longer stems. These have a lot of fiber in them. So just like celery, if you can kind of think of how celery is stringy, you don't want to use those. You don't want to just rip off the stems and use those. You want to cut the leaf right at where the leaf starts from the stem. So right there. And simply, I just use my fingernail and snip it off right there. So that's where you want your leaf, and you don't want this fibrous stem. So important. One thing you can do, which I do, is like right there at the very, very tip. You don't really necessarily need to cut off all those leaves. I would just take that tip and pluck it off there. That's not a lot of stems, as you can see. So that I would definitely use. But then like down here again, this leaf you can see is very bug eaten, so I'm not going to use that leaf. But now I'm going to show you a couple different things before I get into the recipe. So as you know, if you are a gardener, there are dozens of types of basil. There's Thai basil, there's purple basil, there is Genovese, which is your standard basil that you generally purchase in the store. That is your standard Italian basil, and it is phenomenal. Then you also have your sweet basil. My personal favorite is Monmouth, and it is also an Italian basil. And the reason I like that is because the leaf is ginormous. So I am going to show you, oh, yucky fly. So there are a way to differentiate between the types. This is your sweet basil. So as you can see, it's a smaller leaf and they're a little bit more of a lime green as opposed to that dark, vibrant basil green. And so it's a little calmer, I guess, of a flavor than the Genovese or the Monmouth. The Monmouth is very similar to the Genovese, and I'm going to explain to you why I like the Monmouth better. So there is your sweet basil, and this, what the leaf that I was just harvesting off of, this is your Genovese. And you can see the leaf is wider, it's generally bigger. Thai basil is also a very teeny tiny leaf. I never grow that. That's more of a spicy. So if you do a lot of Thai cooking or Asian cooking, Thai basil you definitely want to grow in your garden. It is definitely different. There is a more of a spicy hint to it. So as you can see, I'm just going to quick show you. You can see the difference between the sweet right here and the Genovese. So again, a little milder of a flavor is the sweet, a little more like complex of a flavor with the Genovese. But now for my favorite, Monmouth basil. And as you can see, I'm going to pluck off one leaf from my Monmouth and I'm going to pick off on a larger size of the Genovese. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference, and especially from the sweet basil. So why do I like the Monmouth? Less work. You can get way more bang for your buck out of a Monmouth basil because the plants generally grow just as large. But instead of having to pick 2 or 3 Genovese leaves, 1 Monmouth. So that is the reason. And this is my favorite. And you know, I've in the beginning of the year when I started talking about gardening and my top 10 favorites, I can't remember if I did my top 10 favorite herbs. I know I did my veggies and whatnot. But if I could only grow one basil, it's Monmouth. So I have already gone ahead because it takes a minute to harvest all the leaves. And what I did was I washed the leaves first and then, you know, kind of shook off some of the stems and wash them. And then I have a salad spinner. And so I washed my basil leaves and I put them in there and I spun them and I got them clean. I did that twice because just in case there is some residue, there are some fuzzies. As you can see, even right here, here's a fuzzy. I know you probably can't see that, but there is, trust me. And so you want to get all that stuff and sometimes little baby bugs. Add a little fiber to your diet, but I prefer not to. So now let's get into the meat of this video, how to make pesto, not using pine nuts. So I am going to scooch this stuff over and I am going to take some photographs also of the difference in the leaves. Purple basil is really pretty. It's doesn't really have much of a different flavor than just your standard Genovese. But now I have 2 cups of my basil and I'm going to put that in my little food chopper with my garlic, and I've already minced my garlic. So what I want to do is I want to kind of pack it down. Oops, lost a leaf. That's okay. And when you're measuring out, and I am going to have this in the details of the recipe, you want to pack down the leaves. So when you get that 1 cup, measure 2 cup, whatever it is, pack them down. So you want a packed 2 cups of basil. So now I am going to use my spatula and I'm going to add my garlic in there. I'm going to kind of pounce it down a little bit so it gets in there and add a little bit of that moisture. So there we go there. And now I'm going to put my lid on. It's going to be a little loud, so I'm not going to talk while it's processing. Okay, so that is emulsifying beautifully. I'm going to pack this down a little bit more and stir it, being careful. I have sliced so many spatulas doing that in either a blender or a food processor like this. So be careful when you're doing that. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to show you guys this, take this off real quick and kind of just show you how it's emulsified. So really nice. You can see here, it's all blended down. So awesome. Now I am going to, come on. I'm going to add in my Parmesan cheese and kind of blend that around. And I'm also going to go ahead and add my salt and pepper. So I use pink Himalayan and fresh ground pepper. So there's that and that. And again, I'm going to put the lid on and let that all blend in. Beautiful. Just perfect. Oh, I love pesto. So I'm going to include some links in the bottom of in the description here at this YouTube video. I have a super yummy kale and walnut pesto. You don't even use basil. And it is a really, really nice variation of pesto. Pesto is generally, obviously, basil, but I have several really delicious pesto recipes. So I'm going to give you links to that at my website. 1 second here. Actually, I want my 1 tablespoon. I'm going to add in a little bit of olive oil at a time. I don't want it to separate. This is going to, I'm going to put probably about 4 tablespoons, or that's actually a half a tablespoon. And then I'm going to add this on again. We don't want the oil to separate, so that's why I'm doing that. Okay. And I'm going to put that over there. This over here, and I'm going to add a couple more. And when this is done, this should be kind of like almost like a hummus consistency, I guess is a good way to describe it. One of my favorite summer ingredients, friends, is pesto, homemade pesto. And pesto with linguine and then some homemade bruschetta on sourdough bread. Oh my gosh, I love summer. Summer bounty. I'm going to go ahead and add the last of that. Perfect. And I'm just going to add this last little bit of olive oil. Don't want to miss a drop. And then I'm going to put that there. I'm going to emulsify it one more time. Perfect. Guess what's on the menu, friends? So here we go. Beautiful, beautiful pesto. And I am going to put this in a bowl so you guys can see it and how beautiful it is. I just love pesto. My boys love pesto. It's not really one of Dave's favorites, but oh my gosh, this is a summer staple. So, as most of you, if you follow me, you know I was at the Walled Lake Farmers Market yesterday. And so I took some basil and I had some left over, a couple bags of it, and which is what's in what you're seeing. And then I went out to the garden this morning and I harvested some more. So here it is. Just absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to take a little taste. Oh, incredible. And as that sits, the flavors are going to just enhance more. So I am going to do basil or pesto today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all of this pesto. Use all of this basil to make pesto, and I'm going to freeze it. That pesto freezes really well, and throughout the summer, every time I have an extra harvest, anything I have left over from market, And as I'm growing it, I am going to use every single leaf for pesto and be able to freeze that. So in the winter months and through the winter and spring and early part of summer when I don't have basil, I will have my homemade fresh pesto and be able to utilize that throughout the year. So friends, as you can see, pesto is incredibly easy to make. Basil is incredibly easy to grow, and you can do so many other things with it too. But pesto is my number one thing to do with basil. I'm also going to use a lot of my basil leaves and dry them. So that's an upcoming video on how to dry your own herbs. It is such a money saver. It's incredible. And if you purchase herbs, you know how expensive. I also have a lot of video or blogs at my blog at fordragonfliesandme.com on spice blends. So I'm going to be including that and sharing those with you. Again, how to make your own Italian seasoning, drying your own basil and parsley, oregano and thyme. I'm going to show you guys how to do thyme infused and with garlic olive oils. So many wonderful things you can do with herbs. But I am so happy you joined me today. And like I always say, please, if you found value in this video, be sure to like it, smash that subscribe button, and even better, give me feedback. I love your comments. Have you ever tried to make pesto without pine nuts? Do you prefer it with or without? Does it not matter? Do you have another pesto recipe that you use? I would love to hear from you. Think I know everything here. We grow together and we learn from each other. So friends, be sure to subscribe, smash the like button, and I will see you again soon here in the kitchen and of course out in the garden. So until next time, friends, be sure to eat fresh, shop local, and have a wonderful day. Take care now.